Hi everyone, and welcome to this month's Laws mini course presented by the Rugby Quebec referees. We're going to be talking about advantage. In a similar format to last month, we're going to stay with podcast format, and we promise that this will be shorter than the last video. So there's two kinds of advantages that we'll see in a game. One's penalty and one is scrum. One is for a penalty and one is for a scrum. So typically, people always ask when is advantage over. I think which is the biggest thing we're going to discuss in this podcast is when is advantage over. So for a penalty, we'll typically play a longer advantage if you're in the attacking 22. You have a potential to score, or even goal lines, like goal line, multiple pick and goes, this and that. The reality is if you can take a shot at goal, we're probably going to be playing a longer advantage until you have that crack. Now, if you go one phase and you're moving backwards, we're probably just going to call it right away. Generally, you're going to have 1 to 2 phases if you're inside your own half, and then if you're not really doing anything creative and you're just doing phase play, we're going to give you the penalty and you do what you want from there. Tap and go, line out, scrum, up to you really. If you're from midfield to the attacking 22, we kind of think like, can they make the kick? Is it more beneficial for us to blow the penalty for them for the kick? You'll probably get your 1-2 phases, but you might get a few more. And then inside the 22, you're most likely going to get quite a bit more time with the ball and with advantage because we're trying to see what you can do with it. And I'll let James talk about scrum advantage.
Yeah, and I think that just to Chris's point about if you're going backwards and we're probably going to blow our whistle, I think as referees, advantage is something that we talk about a lot in terms of getting it right for the flow of the game. Because if we don't get it right, then essentially we're just killing time off the clock, running an advantage that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and I always kind of like I say it to myself a lot, but I always feel dumb when I play advantage and a team just spins the ball the other side of the field and gets tackled 10 meters back. And then I'm sprinted across the field. I got to blow the penalty and run all the way back across.
Right.
So typically, I try to spot that pretty early. If the defense is properly structured and they're shooting and there's no clear gaps, there's a good chance I'm not running across the field because there's nothing really much to be had there.
Yeah.
Or you try your cross field kick if you want, and I'm all for that. In fact, someone who likes to kick a lot. I love a good a worthwhile kick.
Creative play, yeah.
But, if it works, it works. If not, you're probably going to get 30, 40 meters of territory on the line out anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't, we want to give advantage. We want the ball to move. And we're weighing that against, the dollars that players pay to play and making sure we're not killing their time out of their 80 minutes. Because there's either way, there's a possibility of not getting on with the game. So, scrum advantage, obviously that comes from typically a knock-on. So most scrum advantage would come from a spilled ball or a forward pass where the defending team gathers. And then we're looking for possibility of 2 things for that advantage to be over. If the referee determines that an advantage is to be played, we're going to call out advantage. We'll put our arm out. Usually we'll specify scrum advantage so that the scrum half knows what they're working with. Maybe the fly half knows what they're working with. And then there's 2 ways that advantage can be gained: tactical and territorial. Territorial is pretty self-evident. It's a gain in ground. So if you gain territory, then your scrum advantage is over. And then tactical is the other one. Tactical is basically the freedom to play the ball as you wish. So if you get a good platform from the bottom of a ruck and you have an opportunity to run a back play or run a swaps in the forwards or a tip ball or something like that, and there's you've made gain line, then very soon after that the advantage is going to be over, because if there's to be a scrum, basically all you're getting, if you get a good scrum, is a platform at the back of your scrum. And that's what we're looking for. Territorial or tactical. Generally, if you kick on a scrum advantage, that's considered territorial, and the advantage is over. There's a possibility that the kick goes backwards, I guess, and we decide that that's the advantage, not over, but that's more rare.
So typically on that kicking thing, if the kicker's under a lot of pressure and, they mess up their kick, there's a chance that we'll go back to the scrum.
Correct.
But if the kicker's not under pressure and you just screw up your kick, you've gotten your tactical advantage.
Yeah.
You got your platform, your kicker had their time, they were able to kick. We're probably going to go advantage over, even if he skews it off the side of his boot.
Yeah.
Because that's a player skill problem. It's not a pressure problem.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
We're really, I'd say the simplest way to explain scrum advantage is that we're looking for you to not be under pressure.
Yeah.
And if you can not be under pressure for a phase or two, it's pretty much over.
Yeah, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
You're ready to go. Because again, the all that you're going to get if we blow that whistle in your favor is a scrum, where your best case scenario at a scrum is that I guess you could earn a penalty and whatnot, but generally at a successful scrum is you've won a clean ball at the back of the scrum and you have a platform to attack on. So.
And if we've seen most of the fields in Quebec this year with the rain we've had, I think it's safer to say that scrumming is preferred to be avoided if we can, because we've had a pretty muddy summer this year, and if conditions aren't great, then most refs will play a pretty quick scrum advantage to avoid everyone slipping and falling on their faces.
Yeah. And something I think, just a shout out to Alex Saint-Bonnet, because something that I've picked up from him this year is specifically on penalty advantages, he'll add in free ball, and it's a phrase that I really like and I've picked up on. It doesn't mean you should look for all referees to do it, but I just wanted to give a shout to Alex because that's actually helped me in my communication with the players. I found that the players are very receptive of that. They hear that free ball, they know what that means. It means that they have a penalty advantage coming. They're not processing too much. So just a shout out on that because it's helped me greatly this season in my refereeing.
Yeah, so we hope that you guys enjoyed the Advantage Laws course. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to answer them. I think we covered most of what we needed to today, and as promised, it is much shorter than the last podcast.
29 minutes shorter.
And we hope that you join us next month for the in goal and try Laws mini course, where we will hopefully have some new video clips for you.
Maybe even some funny ones. And have a good night.